Hello, it's Peter Merrick, and I'm walking La Jolla. I have a question to ask. Do you know your story? Do you own your story? Did you craft your story? Or did you accept someone else's story for you? Who you are, what you do? Because the person who actually spends the time to go and know who they are, and that means what they value, and are willing to communicate it to the world, those are the people who make a difference. Most importantly, the difference they make is to themselves. Because when someone has purpose in their step, they are the most attractive person you will meet. Unfortunately, many of us, when we start out, we accept other people's stories. And I want to share with you a story that occurred to me in the early 1990s when I got into the financial service industry. Back then, I sold mutual funds. Now, mutual funds were the sexiest thing in the financial service industry. The world was changing in the 1990s where people were becoming more responsible for their own retirements and planning, and also because baby boomers were getting at that stage. So the mutual fund industry went from several $100 billion to several $1 trillion within a decade. Every fund company would have these incredible banquets and seminars where they would bring out a keynote speaker, and they would also bring out their top managers to share their story. Now, what is money management? What are mutual funds? It's somebody who chooses what to invest in. And I remember not knowing my story. However, I would hear these people tell their stories, and they would ask the people in the audience, to share their stories. And the ones who had the best stories were the ones who actually got rewarded with the most money under assets. And that was something that was somewhat frustrating to me. You're going to ask me why, or I'm asking why. Because I was telling other people's stories. I was talking about, here was this manager, he made this type of money, and he worked over here, and he did this, and he had such a track record. And I was frustrated. And everyone else I was working with was selling other people's stories. That's all it was. Calling people up and telling them stories. It's been said often that human beings are the storytelling creatures. But most of us never know our own story, or we're frightened of our own story. So I'm going to make a suggestion. Sit down and write out who you are. Tell the story. See the themes that pop up. And find out what characters are in your story. And are they the right characters? Get rid of them if they're not. As long as you take a breath, every day you have the opportunity to turn your story, your personal example of what life is, into an epic. Something that you will look back and you'll say, I'm proud of the life I lived. And you know what? The most important thing that I've learned from older people is this. It's really simple. They regretted the things they didn't do more than the things they did. So go out there and do it. The world is changing right now. It is calling for each and every one of you to know who you are, to become inwardly directed, meaning you know the lines in the sands, what's important, what's not for you, and outwardly focused. What do I mean by outwardly focused? You're aware that the world is out there. And by being aware that there's other people out there, you will aim to make the world better. But you serve nobody. Nobody if you don't know who you are. You do not help anybody whatsoever by sharing other people's stories. You are the most important person in your story. And that makes the difference. I've met people with wonderful stories and I've been a bit player. But the only consistent is this. I am the lead character. I've fallen, I've gotten up. Most importantly, I'm still here. That means my story's not over. And if you're listening to this, you are also part of my story. And remember this, stories have the ability to inspire people to great heights. And your words have the ability to uplift other people. So you want to change your story? Elevate. Talk about what is good, how you are going to make things better. Now, if things do not agree with you, stand up and make a change. Right now, many people who are in government, who are in industry, who are in elites, they are spinning a narrative that many of us don't agree with. But guess what? If you don't have a plan, there are plenty of people who do have a plan, and some of them are very nefarious. And where they'll take you is not pleasant. Now, there's so many people who have wonderful stories that they haven't told. So are you prepared to tell your story? And it doesn't matter what you do. There's something important in what you do. Because it doesn't matter if you're a dentist, doctor, a tradesman. You're a living human being. And the only person who can define who you are is you. Please share your story with me. I love stories. I'm a storyteller and I write stories. And you guys have been wonderful and have an incredible day. And we'll talk soon. This is Peter Merrick, and if you like, give me a like, give me a share, make a comment. And if we're not connected, let's follow each other. Speak with you soon.